and welcome back to episode 2 of Tatted Beauty Podcast. This episode is entitled Welcome to My World. Now, first, I just want to say happy Thursday. Hope you guys have enjoyed your weekend. My weekend was, it was okay. I worked nights, so yeah, you can just imagine how that goes. But other than that, I hope you guys have been enjoying your week. I hope you guys have been enjoying me so far. I'm appreciative of all the feedback I did get on episode 1, but I feel like I needed to come back and elaborate on episode 1. Reason being is because I said that the show is basically based around, growth, trauma, being a part of the reason why we grow. So this episode is called Welcome to My World because I just want to explain, not in full detail. So we're not going to get into a long drawn out session of, all of my trauma, but I do at least want to be transparent with you guys and let you guys know that, I'm human and I've gone through a lot of things that I'm not necessarily let stagger me, but I let it enable me. If you know, you know. So, starting off, I'm a resident of Paterson, New Jersey, born and raised, St. Joseph's Hospital, May 22nd. I've had two loving parents. They were married before they actually had children. So, I did come from a two family household. So, I'm going to get into the good things before I get into the bad things because everything was not all bad. I can't sit up here and speak on my life like everything was traumatic and, just all bad because it was not. Like I said, I came from a two family household. My mom and my dad were married, but things weren't so good behind closed doors, as they say. Even though on the outside, we look like the ideal family, traveling. My dad had us into all sorts of things. I actually started rapping at the age of 4, I believe. We started practicing at the age of 2, rapping at the age of 4. So my mom and my dad basically, let us experience that at a very young age. We went to competitions, won trophies as tall as me. My dad was a spontaneous person. I was going to Soho. And so while everybody was out, probably doing other things, I was experiencing the world basically. And I definitely am appreciative of my mom and my dad for that, taking trips, family trips to Florida. So I always knew what it felt like to travel. That's something that I always wanted to do. I always knew what it felt like to be just, a free spirit, funny, outgoing, So that's that part about it. So I always was active. I wasn't a depressed child. Well, a little bit, because we're going to get into that. But it wasn't all bad. So let's go back. Trauma. Now, trauma can be classified as anything. Anything can traumatize you. Car accidents can traumatize you. Relationships can traumatize you. Food can traumatize you, depending on if you're allergic or not. Oranges have definitely traumatized me. Definitely did that. But that's just to give you an example of certain things that can be classified as trauma. Now, a couple of the things that I have gone through that I can say were trauma for me was growing up in a household with a narcissistic father. Now, I can say he was a narcissist now. Of course, I did not know what it was back then, but he subjected us to things that now I understood that he didn't know was wrong, but that was the way that he was raised. So basically, very stern household, very strict. We weren't allowed to really have company over. We weren't not even family. So that contributes to the way I am now, just being closed off, not really wanting to be around people sometimes because I'm able to sit with myself, I'm able to just be alone and just be content. My dad later went to prison when I was about 6 or 7, I believe. And he went away for a while, and I'd say that was the not the beginning of the trauma, because my dad, the arguments him and my mom used to have in front of us. And this is not to speak badly about my father, because I love my father to death, and I'm appreciative of everything that he has actually taught me on earth and after, just like my sister. So I just knew that my dad didn't really know how to love us the right way. So he just implicated what he was taught. So he would talk at us instead of talking to us. So as a child, seeing your mom or your dad exude these types of energies, you kind of harbor those same behaviors. And that's literally what happened. I became angry, and not necessarily angry like my dad, but the trauma in that, the trauma in the anger came because I knew that my dad talking to us and treating us certain type of ways was wrong. So that created anger in me because I wanted to say something and I couldn't. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people that can agree with that. As children, we feel like we don't have a voice, we don't have an opinion. And honestly, that's how I was raised. We felt like we didn't have an opinion. Every time we spoke, we got, yelled at. My dad wasn't a physical abuser, but verbal abuse is just as bad. And I tried to tell a lot of people who I've come into contact with, that verbal abuse is definitely worse. Because as a child, I became very angry. And I became very angry at other people. Why? Because I knew that I couldn't take that anger and that frustration out on the person that I really wanted to take it out on. So I took it out on people in the street. I took it out on teachers. I took it out on people that I went to school with. And not necessarily being a bully, but it was, you're not going to talk to me like that. You're not going to say that to me. I was always taught in my household, never let a man or a woman disrespect you. So I took that and ran with it, baby. And nobody was off limits. Like nobody. I'm talking about principals, anybody. And that wasn't to say, like I said, I wasn't just going around just being angry. I just felt like, adults shouldn't speak to kids a certain way just because they're an adult. Your parent, a guardian, your teacher, your principal. I've just always felt like those people in higher places should never feel like they should speak down on people, regardless of their status. So that was that. I was bullied a lot. I know you guys are probably like, no, you're lying. I'm really not lying. I was bullied, like a lot. I was always shorter than everybody. And I was a tomboy, actually, in school. So up until the age of 15, I was a tomboy. So I was fat, little stubby, little 5 feet, maybe shorter. I played sports, so I was bigger than everybody in my classes. So I used to be called fat. I have you see the nose. I know you see the nose. I used to be called Pinocchio, stuff like that. So I became very, very angry because I didn't like anybody picking on me because it felt like I was still at home being picked on. So that turned me into a ball of fire, a ball of aggression. I just took it out on anybody and everybody that I felt was a threat to me. And it took less than nothing for me to react. And that wasn't okay. But me being a child, I really didn't care at all. So going through all of that, being teased, it just became really, really hard for me to just control my emotions because I just felt like everybody was just attacking me in a way, instead of literally just sitting back and just like, Alicia, listen and just understand that this isn't that. But I couldn't do that. So, moving forward, I lost my virginity at 17, and I wind up getting pregnant at 17, had my daughter at 18. So that wasn't really traumatizing in a way, but I will say it enabled me with at the time, I thought it enabled me because I'm just thinking, I got to be a family. I got to give up softball. I got to give up. I went to school for Rosa Parks for singing. I wanted to be a music therapist. I'm just thinking, the worst. Everything is just gone. So that put me in another mind state, just it redirected me. It redirected me. And like I said, I'm just young and you know, just enabling myself all the way around. And I can honestly say that now, sitting here today, because I just literally had time to just sit with myself. And just everything that has ever happened to me in life has been, not to say I haven't had things happen to me too, but I could have controlled a lot of those things. After I had my daughter, yeah, my child's father left me for a younger woman. So that caused a lot of trauma. And me and my daughter's father haven't been together since she was like a month old. She's 16 right now. So the whole family dynamic being stripped away from me caused a lot of trauma because I too came from a two family household. Even though it wasn't the best, I still came from that two family household. So for me, in the back of my head, it was just, I don't want another family. I didn't want that. So that caused even more of a landslide for me, trauma wise. I was a product of rape. It was someone that I knew. I was left in a basement. I just woke up and just was left in a basement, you know. I actually confided in my daughter's father about that. Really, nobody else really knows about that, but it was taken care of. After that, I actually slipped into a depression, and I do deal with seasonal depression. That's something that I actually realized about myself as well. And I started to rebel against life. And that caused me to not show up for my child the way that I should have. My daughter's father had to get on me a bunch of times. He still does a little bit, because I was just so hurt, that I could not have that family dynamic, So that sent me into a whole nother whirlwind of just other things. So after going through that, too, I started smoking. I started drinking. I started popping pills. And in that time, even though me and my daughter's father weren't together, we were still intimate. I wind up getting pregnant again. But this time, I did not pay attention to anything because I didn't have any signs or anything like that. So I wasn't really concerned. But one day I woke up and I went to the bathroom and it was just a murder scene. But I went to the hospital, long story short, and one of my friends was with me. And I found out that I was pregnant. I was 5 months and I was having a boy. But at that time, I did not want that burden on myself. And I had to take accountability for my actions. I was drinking, smoking, popping pills, was not taking prenatal vitamins. So I felt like if I brought that child into this world and he had complications, that would be on me. Yes, some people might say that that was selfish of me to make that decision to take this child out of this world. But I literally had just had my daughter. She literally had just turned 1 that July. I found out that August that I was actually 5 months with a boy. So it scared me, scared the crap out of me. And I made the conscious decision to terminate the pregnancy. That was something that weighed heavy on me as well. But I moved forward, I kept pushing through, and it still haunts me to this day, but I try not to really think about it. But it haunts me when I do think about the fact that I do want another child. But I try to not let it get to me. After that, I'm not going in order or anything. I'm just telling you guys like just some things that happened. I lost my grandmother my sophomore year of high school, and this was a grandmother that I had basically lived with for a whole summer. So she basically raised me for a summer. We always went by her house, so it wasn't like we never frequent her house. So we were always over there, but we were very close. So I lost her 2003 randomly. I lost my dad's mom. Mind you, we lived in her house like all of my cousins. That was basically, we all got that one house, that grandmother house that we all stay at until we all just like venture off. Yeah, that was my dad's mom, Grandma Brown. I actually lost her a half an hour before my 21st birthday. And I'm just telling you guys this because we see these artists and we, you know, see these influencers and they talk about, well, some of them are transparent, some of them do practice transparency and they put their whole life on the internet. But certain people you don't see that from. And I feel like we don't have enough of that. And that's why we have a lot of people committing suicide. That's why we have a lot of people who are drug addicts or alcoholics because they were never taught that kind of transparency. We're always taught, you know, what goes on in this house stays in this house. And although that might be true, I feel like that causes a lot of trauma in a lot of children because they want to talk. They want to be able to be transparent with people and let them know this is why I am how I am. This is why I scream. This is why I cry. This is why they do certain things. And I don't feel like enough people have that kind of transparency. And I don't take that away from anybody. Some people are just very private people, and I understand that. But when you are on a platform and you are on these social media sites, I feel like a lot of people are hypocrites. They contradict themselves a lot, and it doesn't really fit into the lives that they are living because we later on find out these traumas. And I feel like myself, I could have come out with this a long time ago and probably helped a bunch of people before they hit rock bottom or before they hit what they call their lowest. But everything takes time. And I'm here today to let you know you are not your trauma. Your trauma is not you. Tatted Beauty was made because, like I said, they are tatted beauty, tattoos, tatted memories. And they are permanent. But they don't have to permanently enable you. They don't have to permanently be scars to you. You can get over them. You don't have to be angry at every person you meet because they possibly, trigger you to think about something else. Just move on because that has been my problem. That has been my main problem. I am an overthinker. Number one, I've come from a very, very strict household. So in my friendships, I hold that same kind of passion with my friends. Not to say that I'm bossy because I don't feel like I'm bossy. Everyone comes from different walks of life. And I always feel like I can add to someone, just like someone can add to me. We are all human. We all go through different things. So I'm not here to judge you. I hope nobody's here to judge me. But trauma can really, really, really sabotage a lot in your life. And I have let a lot of my trauma sabotage me in friendships, relationships, holding on to people longer than I should have because I watched my mom hold on to her relationship, even though she knew it wasn't the right, situation to be in emotionally. She fought for that relationship because she watched her parents go through it. And as you can see, everything is a cycle. Everything is repetitive. And I feel like as human beings, we need to stop those. And we always say we're going to stop them. I've seen it generation after generation. We try to break generational cycles. But it just seems like we have more creative ways to just keep them going, just to cover them up. And in sitting with myself, like I told you guys in episode one, sitting with myself for the last 9, 10 months, I had to tell myself, like, no, Alicia, those are excuses. You can't say, oh, well, my mom did this, well, my dad did that. Because if you're trying to break a generational curse, why would you want to be like your parents, Alicia? Certain things, yes, I will say that I've taken from my parents' relationship, like the part of fighting for love. I fight for love in any situation, whether that's friends, whether it's family, whether it's anybody, I'm very, very, very stern with that. But I'm so passionate to the point where I become toxic. I become abusive because we as human beings, we're talking to you and we're like, why aren't you listening to me? Why aren't you paying attention to me? Why aren't you taking heed to what I'm saying? So that creates a bigger beast because we as friends, we feel like our friends should take heed to what we're saying. But we also have to understand those friends came from a different walk of life. You guys harbor different kind of behaviors, different kind of patterns. But it also takes a very compassionate person, a very understanding person to take what you're saying as the friend into consideration. Not necessarily saying that you have to alter your life. I'm not saying that because that's not what getting over trauma is. It's actually sitting in it and going through it and realizing that sometimes you can be the problem. You can be the problem. Yes, the trauma is part of the problem. Absolutely. I have let it affect me in so many ways. It's not even funny. And I'm just here today, like I said, to just tell you it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay. I have been that person that has been like, oh, I'm not going to cry. I'm Big Lay. I'm not going to cry. Rah, rah, rah. Because that's also what I was shown as a child, don't show any weakness. So it's just like, if I show you my weakness, I feel like I lost. So that created you see how I'm saying, like, all of that stuff creates bigger monsters. And, it gets so out of control that we don't even know how to control it. I also forgot one other thing. Well, this is not trauma, but it also caused trauma within my family. I came out as lesbian when I was 19 years old. And coming from a Muslim household, baby, it wasn't that, okay? My mom with open arms took me in. Now my dad, baby, I was called all types of names. And it was just like, for the first man you're supposed to love, which is supposed to be your dad, for him to exude the energy that I was expecting from the streets, blew my mind. Blew my mind. But I had to understand that's the era, that's the time, that's the generation he came from. So, cool. I was always getting kicked out of the house because, as my dad say, I was disrespectful. But I don't feel like it was being disrespectful because it's like, I was grown at the time. I'm talking to you. So why do you feel like you need to kick me out? That was another part of trauma because I never felt safe. Even though my mom was there, she would always talk to me. I didn't feel safe. So there are kids out there, like I said, we're talking about trauma. So there are kids who go through these type of things who are scared to talk because we're not taught to express feelings in school or to guidance counselors. Yes, they're there to help us, but we're taught to look at them like, mind your business, lady, because you don't need to be in my business. But I feel like if these things are being taught at a young age and not necessarily, oh, don't say this in school, don't say that in school, to cover up the trauma that's being done at home, you're just enabling your kid. So after a while, like I said, I love my parents, but I had to understand that they were enabling me a little bit. My mom is very humble, very, very soft-spoken woman, but I felt like she was being taken advantage of too. And seeing that just caused me to feel like I needed to take that kind of hurt or those kind of blows in my own relationships, because I thought that's what love was and that's what fight really was. And I'm here to tell you that's not it. That's not it at all. Okay? If a person is not willing to add to you, then they're enabling you. If a person is not, whether it be relationship, friendship, associate, co-worker, whatever, you guys just have to, oh, wait, hold on. Well, that noise means that it's time for this segment of the show. I'm sorry to cut it off, but you know what time it is. It's time for Isn't It Shady? Okay? And since we're talking about childhood traumas, I'm going to just go on ahead and say this. This is like, oh my God, it broke my heart as a child, okay? Isn't it shady that, the candy Chico sticks, right? Right. So there used to be this store down the hill on the main called Chico's, right? And you can probably see where I'm going with this, right? I swore up and down this man made these Chico sticks. Okay, you couldn't tell me Chico did not make these Chico sticks. And I used to literally go there faithfully every single day, and ask for these Chico sticks. And one day we went in the store and I believe somebody said something about the Chico sticks. And I was like, oh, he made them. Just ask Chico. Chico, you got any more of your Chico sticks? And literally his, I believe his son was behind there, or one of his family members. And they would started laughing at me. They were like, he doesn't make Chico sticks. His name is Chico. It says Chico stick on the, mind you, I'm like 9 at the time, not even knowing nothing. Distraught over that, okay? Because I cannot believe this man's name was Chico. I'm looking at a stick that says Chico stick, but he didn't make the Chico. Yeah. So you can just see. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So that was very shady to me, because somebody could have told me that. Very much so. But they just let me go on with life, just believing that Chico made these little Chico sticks. Shout out to Chico as well. Chico actually named my sister. He gave her middle name. Her middle name is Sharifa, which is Arabic. Princess Sharifa is her name. So shout out to Chico wherever you are. I have not seen Chico in a long time. A very long time. Yeah. But shout out to him. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it on back. Bring it on back. So, yeah, adding to people, understanding their trauma. Now, I'm not saying you got to put up with what people go through, because I kind of felt that way too with my friends, because it was like, I'm around for you guys. You guys tell me all of your stuff. You guys come to me with, all of these stories, and I'm able to give you advice. But I felt like sometimes it wasn't reciprocated on the other end, and that's not to say that they didn't want to do it. Maybe they didn't know how to do it. But what I'm saying is sometimes you just have to learn that certain people don't know how to get you through your trauma. And I didn't understand that. I really didn't, because I'm like, you see me going through this. You're around me every single day, including parents. Parents don't even know sometimes that their kids are depressed, that their kids have this kind of trauma, unless they talk to them. And I'm an 80s baby. I can speak for myself. My mom spoke to me, my dad, not so much. I didn't really have that, like I said, that transparency. And even though I had that transparency in my mom, she was going through her own traumatic stuff. So she couldn't even respond to me the way that I needed her to. So now in my life, now that I have a child, I literally try to be so transparent with her and not to tell her my business, because I've been told that too. Like, why do you tell your daughter your business? It's not telling her my business. It's to let her know that I'm human. I make mistakes. Yes, parents are supposed to be superheroes, but we're also supposed to be truthful. We're supposed to be living honest. And I feel like that's what causes a lot of friction between parents as well with their children, because they hide a lot of things from their kids. They lie to them and they say they were protecting them, but it's not protection if it's causing more trauma later down the line. Because me personally, I didn't know I even harbored trauma with the fact that I got sent to live with my grandmother until I got older, because I was picked on by my sisters and my brothers because I lived with my grandmother. So they felt like I was better than them. I didn't really know how to respond to that. So I became angry. Me and my sister started to fight, like two people out in the street. So since me and my sister started fighting in the house and I'm fighting my sister, more trauma. Now I'm fighting in the street. Because if my sister can say less to nothing to me and I can fight her, what do you think I can do out in the street? Right? Right. So that also caused me to be very, just like in my ego a little bit, you know what I mean? And I had this real hard demeanor because, like I said, I had been picked on. I was picked on at home. I was picked on at school, even down to adults. So this is a big one for me, a very, very big one. And I only realized this maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, or something like that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people can agree with me when I say this. A lot of children or teens who are rebellious against adults, sometimes it's your approach. I'm gonna say that again. Adults, sometimes it's your approach, okay? Because I have went to school with teachers who gossiped, not for nothing. And it felt like they were one of us almost. So it's like, if you want to act like one of us, I'm going to talk to you like one of us. But then it turned into, oh, I'm your teacher, so you have to respect me. But you're sticking your nose in teenage business. So how are you an adult at that point? Now you're in my business, right? Right. But teachers and adult figures don't like to be challenged. They don't like to be questioned or, put in their place, shall we say. So that was another thing with me. I did not like, because like I said at home, I did not like adults telling me what to do. Like, I just didn't, but I didn't understand that's their job. That's literally their job. It's just certain ways. Like I said, you just got to know how to talk to people. You got to know how to talk to people. In softball, I was in 7th grade. I'll never forget it. This traumatized me, and this is what put me on to the fact that adults hate on kids and men hate on women. You understand me? This is what put me in that mindset. Okay, 7th grade, picture it, all right? Playoffs, softball game, all right? Now, they already was coming at my team because at the time, me and my little sister were on the same team. Now, long story short, they was getting their ass bust, period, okay? And the coach basically, they were about to lose. So what do? They attack me. And the coach says to the umpire and everybody there, oh, she's in high school. Now, mind you, I'm in 7th grade. But I was, like I said, short, stocky. On a later show, I'm going to put in a little picture so y'all can see. I was a little fluff ball. I'm not going to lie. But The coach went to them and told them I was in high school. They had me under investigation for 2 weeks. I could not play or anything until they investigated me. So that began a lot of my anger too, and a lot of trauma too, because it's like, as an adult, how are you attacking a seventh grader because I'm good at what I do? Doesn't that sound familiar? Anyway, so yeah, I've learned from a young child that adults can be catty, adults can be jealous of children, adults can be evil, And I was young, so I'm just looking up at her like, why me? Like, and then my mom is just so humble, and she's just like, Alicia, just calm down. Like me, I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm just going all the way off. So that caused another part of my trauma in just being rebellious against adults, because I'm like, adults are not really adults to me. So I would say I grew up before my time as well. I always hung around older people. And I feel like hanging around older people is what kept me grounded a little bit in the things that I was doing. But the trauma just took over everything. I let that trauma sabotage jobs because the manager would say something to me and I would quit. Because who are you talking to? Bye. Which later on enabled me later on in life, because my resume looks like what? Exactly. Because I'm constantly like, oh, I don't need this job. Forget y'all. Bye. Deuces. I can go somewhere else. Not understanding that I should have stayed there and learned what I needed to learn to move forward, to grow. Being in a part of the gay community and coming out at 19, you can only imagine. I had my daughter at 18. So that came with the backlash of, oh, she's still having sex with dudes. She's still doing this. She's still doing that. Now, mind you, I never said I had sex with one dude. I never said that. Okay? Never said that. My body count is just not as extensive as all of you would like it to be. And I'm okay with that. I've battled with that. I've battled with I've just a lot, that backlash. People just always talking about me because I've just always been a ball of energy. I've always stood up for my friends. I have always been an advocate against bullying. So a lot of things that happened to me was because I didn't like for anybody to get bullied, because I kind of felt like that was my mom, because I saw my mom getting bullied at home. So when I would see my friends getting bullied in school, I was like, okay, well, bully me. Bully me. Because you clearly see that they're not going to do anything. You clearly see that this person is not going to exude any kind of aggression towards you. So it was like, I will. So what's up? But not understanding that that would later cause so much turmoil in my life, because now people are looking at me like the aggressor. So now that caused even more trauma, because now I don't really want to be around people. I just want to be around specific people. You see how all of that ties into each other? All the trauma ties into one another. And I'm literally here speaking on this podcast to stop it. I can't go out and literally stop everything from happening, but I have a voice. I have a story. And I'm here to tell you, do not become your trauma. Do not become that trauma, okay? Because it can really, really enable you. That's why people turn to drugs, because they're not able to talk about their trauma, because they don't want to talk about it. They feel embarrassed. People become prostitutes, escorts, shall we say, because they don't have self-love, self-worth, because they weren't taught that, or because they seen it implicated in their life, but they just weren't strong enough to fight through the trauma that was put on them. Or people get in relationships I have gotten myself in relationships that have kept me in trauma, which they call those trauma bonds, because we're so used to a certain kind of behavior that anything out of the norm, we're just like, nope, nope, I'm good on that. But not understanding that that's what I needed in order to grow. I was sitting in the same friend groups. I was around the same groups of people because that's where I felt comfortable. But I also felt uncomfortable because I also knew that this was something that I shouldn't be around. My parents definitely raised me well. They definitely raised me well. It's just they didn't, well, not, let me not say they. My dad didn't know how to calmly explain to us what he needed to, the knowledge that he was trying to give to us. He didn't know how to calmly exude that to us. So he did it with aggression. And my mom didn't know how to calm him down once he was already riled up. So she doesn't like confrontation, so she just stepped back and just let it happen because she didn't want confrontation. She didn't want later on for it to affect her. But in some way, shape, or form, it affects all of us because we're her children. We're her children. So seeing her children being talked to that kind of way, and anybody else who would see their child being talked to in any kind of way, you want to save your kids. And sometimes I feel like parents lack that part. And they don't know how to take accountability for that because a parent doesn't want to know that they caused any trauma with their children. Parents don't want to sit with the fact that maybe they're the cause of certain things in their child's life. A lot of parents, and that was me as well. My daughter has lived with her dad because I did not want my child to grow up angry and around so much turmoil. My daughter came to me and told me, Mommy, I don't want to live here because of Pop. She was scared of my dad because she was around that. So it's just like, having all of that and having my child at the age of 9 come to me and say that to me, I felt like I failed her. I always told her I wanted to protect her from that, and I felt like I did it. So I made the conscious decision, and I spoke with my daughter's father about him, living with her, stuff like that. And even though I felt it was the right thing to do in the moment, now looking back and at how much time she's actually have lived with her dad, I have caused my daughter trauma as well. I became so caught up in wanting to have a better life for her that I just caught myself just running the streets. I wanted the family dynamic so bad that when her dad did what he did, I just got in this mind state like, even though she wasn't planned, like I didn't want her right then and there. We did talk about kids, so she was planned, but she wasn't planned to come as early as she did. But now that she was on this earth, I just felt like he betrayed me in the worst way. So it was kind of like, oh, well, you wanted this baby, so you can have her. And like I said, later on down the line, I just knew that all of that trauma that she would endure, or not all of it, but some of it would come from me. So that's another reason why I talk to my child. I have apologized to her numerous of times of the things that I possibly could have done to enable her or to hurt her or make her feel like I didn't want to be around her, make her feel like I didn't want her. I just had to let her understand that mommy did not know who she was. Even though I was so confident, even though I was so talented, even though everybody saw me walking around with my head held high and all these groups of people around me, I was hurting in the inside. I was really, really hurting bad. But I knew how to control that. And later on in life, it all came crashing down. All of it came crashing down. And I had to sit with all of that trauma that I've caused other people, because I've cheated, I've lied, I've stole, you know, probably not as much as everybody else, but still, a sin is a sin. And I feel like the worst sin that I have done was cause my daughter the same trauma, if not worse trauma, because I was so lost. I couldn't control emotions. I couldn't control emotions so much to the point of, I will be very transparent again. I have an injury. Sorry, I have an injury to my hand. A lot of people might see it. A couple people have seen it. It's a scar. It literally goes through this tattoo right here. I have told a fake story to protect, my family, protect my, it's everything what happens at home stays at home, right? Right. Certain people know the real story, but I will tell you guys the real story right now. So, like I said, my anger caused me a lot of shit in life. So basically, this happened because I was fighting my older sister. Again, I did not like anybody speaking to my mom in certain ways. I didn't like bullies. One day I was getting dressed, ready to go out with my significant other at the time. She was waiting for me to come out the bathroom, and my sister wound up coming in the house from going to the movies with my mom. And she was just talking to my mom in a way that I just did not like. So I was like, who are you talking to? Why are you talking to my mother like that? So she started running off her mouth. I just closed the bathroom door. She busted in the bathroom door, and when she busted in the bathroom door, I just felt like that was grounds for me to, what's up? You want wreck or something? Because I told you stop talking to my mother like that. We start fighting, and we get in the hallway. Now in the hallway where we were fighting and arguing, there's a door and there's the china cabinet. As we were arguing and fighting, my mom got in the way. I turned around and swung, and I hit the china cabinet. And literally, this part of my tattoo was flipped over, fingers jingling, jingling, jingling. And yeah, I could have almost lost my life. The ambulance said if they would have made it there 5 minutes after, I probably would have bled to death. But since my adrenaline was still pumping and I was just so still amped, that's the only reason I lived. I'm in the hospital thinking I'm about to go home. My ex at the time, she's sitting there. She like, ready for me to get wrapped up so we could go back out, because I'm still in my dress. I still got on my shoes, everything. And they're like, no, ma'am, you're not going home. The next day, I was in surgery for 9 hours. And I lost half of function in my right hand. So you see this? I cannot flex my fingers. They're like curved all the time. These two fingers are always numb. I have feeling in them, but not as much feeling as I have in these fingers right here. I had to literally learn how to use my right hand all over again from using it all my life. I am right-handed. So like I said, I let my attitude enable me, sabotage me in ways, and it sat me down. I couldn't grip a doorknob. I couldn't grip a piece of paper. I could not pick up a dime. I couldn't even really hold my daughter, to be honest, because I could not grip, I couldn't move my wrist. And that put me in another depression. But moving forward, I had to understand that I put myself there. So you see where I'm trying to go with this? Even though we go through all of this trauma, we as human beings have to understand that we can't always just say, oh, well, this happened to me is why I did that. This person did this is why I did that. You did this is why I did that. Okay, we get it. It happened. It happened. Yes. And I had to understand that too because I was a person too. Well, my father used to do this to me, so that's why I'm that way. And I had to understand, like, no, Elijah, that's making an excuse just to be, quote unquote, a narcissist in all actuality. Just making excuses for my bad behavior, making excuses for the things I used to say to people, making excuses for when I used to swing on people, And like I said, I didn't have any jurisdiction on that. Anybody could get it. Like I said, was sitting with myself and understanding the trauma. I had to understand, like, I'm not going to live like this for the rest of my life. I refuse to live like that for the rest of my life. Okay. I refuse to enable myself. And I felt like I was enabling other people. Why? Because I was trying too hard to not save them. Well, yes, technically, save them from themselves. Because I saw the trauma in them. I saw the destruction. Because at one point I was that person. And it's not to say that I'm better than anybody because I'm still changing every day. I still find out new things about my attitude, new things about myself every single day. And that's literally all trauma is. It's just literally going through life and being able to alter those things, not letting them enable you, not letting them be a part of who you are. Because I've seen trauma destroy people because we don't have those outlets. We need them. And if I can be that outlet for anybody, I will be that. And I'm not going to stop talking about it. I'm not going to stop being so passionate about it because we can't judge people. We can't judge people in the chapter and the season that they are because you don't know their trauma. You don't know what they have been through, even if you have known them for over 10 years. Some people harbor trauma to the day they hit the ground. Sometimes you will never know what a person goes through. I don't even know some of the trauma that my sister went through before she passed away, and I wish I did. Because to this day, it still baffles me how she just went like that, from a heart attack. It just has me thinking, was something else on her brain? Ellen DeGeneres' DJ. He was perfectly healthy, smiling, laughing, giggling, sniggling, And next thing you know, you find him on the blogs, he killed himself. So you never know what a person is harboring. So I'm here to be an outlet for anybody who needs it, to let you know it's okay. It's okay. It is okay. It is okay. I am sitting here as a walking testimony. After all of that, and then I lost my dad in 2019, and then I lost my sister 2021. And so much more happened in between that. Toxic relationship, toxic friends, just a whole bunch of things. And I'm here to tell you, baby, it is going to be okay. You are not your trauma, and you're going to beat it. Being in unhealthy friendships, friends that are ungrateful of what you bring to the table, that can cause trauma. Now you don't want to be friends with people because you don't want to be taken advantage of. You see how all of these things can enable you, and you just got to fight. Because I almost allowed it to destroy me in ways that I didn't even know was possible. And I always used to say, I got people around me that'll never let me fall. I got people around me that'll never let me fall off. Until the fall off. And that's not to say that they weren't going through their own situations and they weren't going through their own trials and tribulations. I'm not saying that. I am not saying that at all. But sometimes you got to remind people of who you were to them and how hard you went for them. And when it was your time, nothing. Crickets. Okay? But sometimes You just gotta, like I said, understand that maybe they don't know how to talk you through it. Maybe they don't know how to even get over what they're going through. Because I've been in friendships like that too. They're just like, well, like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going through my own stuff. All right. Okay. Fine. Yeah, it was a shock because it's just like for me to be so transparent with you and for you not to even be able to talk to me. It's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But as friends, like I said, we have to understand that we all come from different walks of life. So be that friend that's going to tell your friend what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. Because that's also what caused a lot of my trauma too. I had people around me that were yes men. Oh, Lay, you doing this, you doing that. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. No, no. Some of us need to hear you're fucking up. Some of us need to hear you can go harder. Some of us need to hear stop being around these people. Some of us need to hear that. And some of us didn't get that until it was too late because we did not know the difference. We didn't know right from wrong because we get a lot of people that say, oh, well, you should know better. And we say it to ourselves. Well, we should know better. But how can you know better if it was never taught to you? How can you know better if you never had the example put in front of you? It's like if you don't know fire is hot, you're going to touch it, right? Right. So as human beings, have more empathy, have more compassion for the life that people live. I'm not saying make excuses for them, not at all, because I had to leave certain people behind and people had to leave me behind because I made too many excuses. I was a toxic friend at one point, so they had to stay away from me because I was telling them things, but I wasn't living it. I would give them advice, but I wasn't living it, which was causing them trauma. Trauma. You see how trauma can be anything. It just doesn't come from your childhood. It just doesn't come from one thing. It can come from everything and anything. So just be mindful of what you're saying to people, how you're saying it to people, the energy you are giving off around people, the compassion you are showing to people, the empathy that you have for people. And I'm not saying that you have to dull down to people, and be oh. No, absolutely not. Because I'm the type of person, I don't need that. Because as you can see, I am very, very stern, very passionate, very independent. So no, I don't need anybody to talk to me like a child. But I need somebody to speak to me stern. But don't talk at me, if it makes sense. Because that can go so many ways. But I'm rambling. I told you guys that I would do that. But like I said, this episode was called Welcome to My World. And I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background of my trauma. Because you can't spread messages. You can't be out here advocating if you haven't lived it, if you haven't been in it, or if you haven't gone through it. And I can honestly say I have gone through it. I am thankful that I have gone through it. I could cry right now, but I don't even have any tears because that's how happy I am. And that's how I know I'm healed from everything because I'm able to sit here right now. Because honestly, before this taping, I honestly thought that I was going to cry. I thought I was going to have some tissues next to me. I thought I was going to be just an emotional ball of wreck. But I'm honestly sitting here empowered. I feel amazing that I can be able to sit here and speak to you guys so transparently and be genuinely just happy with the person that has come out of everything that I have told you today. So if you're at home watching this and you have gone through any of the things that I've said or even worse, or if you feel like you've gone through even worse things, anything, you do not have to let it overcome everything in your life. You do not have to become your trauma. You don't have to be out here making other people miserable because you're miserable. Heal. It's a tough process. It really is. But it's doable. And like I said, I'm sitting here today because it was doable for me. Where I just waking up every day, breaking down in the corner, my little sister coming to me, picking me up off the floor. I'm apologizing to her because I'm just saying I'm so sorry. Because I felt like I felt her. Felt like I failed my child. And the biggest person that I failed was me. Because I was involved with so many things and I just let all that trauma just strip it all away from me because of how I perceived things and how I wanted to take things into my actual life. So I say all of that to say, you are not your trauma. Again, you can beat it. Fight. Just keep showing up for you. Because if I would have stopped showing up for myself, I can only imagine where I would be right now, or where I wouldn't be, should I say. My daughter probably wouldn't have a mother. My niece and my nephews probably wouldn't have an aunt. My brother and my sister probably wouldn't have another sister. The people who really do care and love me, friends, family, they wouldn't have me in their life right now. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the people who allowed me to sit. Thank you to the people who backed off, who weren't pushy, who saw that, I had my own thing going on, that I was miserable, that I was, thank you. But to the people who watched it and added to it, I also want to say thank you as well. Because had you not done that, had you not snaked me, had you not done the things that you've done, hurt me so bad, I wouldn't be able to wear this smile on my face so genuine today. So I just want to say thank you. A win is a win, baby. Okay? So, again, fight. Fight, 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 fight. Keep showing up for you. Keep showing up for you. Keep showing up for your kids if you have children. Show up for your niece and your nephews if you do not have children. If you have children figures around you and you are just the role model for them, keep showing up for yourself. Because although they're seeing you, and although my daughter is seeing me go through the things I'm going through, she's also seeing me fight. And she also sees where I am today. And I'm blessed to be here right now. And I am proud that my daughter gets to watch me go through my seasons. And she gets to watch me evolve. Because a lot of us don't get to see our parents do that. Yeah. And that wraps up our show for today, episode 2. Welcome to my world. I have been your host, Alasia. Oh, I got to get into these shoes, this outfit. It's giving Chucky, right? Little Chucky. That's what I said to myself when I got dressed. I was like, it's giving Chucky vibes. No, but if I could leave you guys with anything, I will leave you with this message. When that man upstairs wants you to grow, he makes you uncomfortable. But what I say is, when that uncomfortableness comes, just embrace it. I promise you, you won't regret it. And I'll see you next time.